I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was mine.
He does travel for work.
Brenda's not here yet either. She's right here.
They're saying that by collecting rainwater in the western slope drainage, that we could be impacting obligations.
Did you have a good trip away?
My mom was in the hospital.
Oh, not so good then.
It wasn't for fun. Well, part of it was
Before she went in the hospital, maybe?
yeah. It was like while I was gone, I got the call and then cut things short.
Oh, that's too bad. Is she doing all right?
Yeah, she's better.
Oh, good.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting wait a minute. Let me get my glasses first. I'd like to call this town board meeting for Tuesday, July 25th, 2024 to order. It's strategic planning work session. Get attendance, please.
Trustee Nyberg, Trustee Hartz,
Here.
Trustee Katzos,
Here.
Trustee Snooks, Trustee McLaurin,
Here.
and Mayor Ott.
Here. All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up is the leadership statement. Town manager's up first.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. So I did just print this out. I thought maybe it'd be easier so that way you can take it home and mark it up or however you want to do it. The first page, or it's got a page number 5 on it. It's got the mission statement that was adopted with the comp plan. And this is basically for land use purposes. And so then I did put the town manager mission together, and my mission is to provide high-level administrative, technical, and professional duties in directing and supervising the administration of the town government professionally and in a courteous manner. So my vision, delegate authority to the department directors. I think we have some awesome department directors for the town, and to professionally manage staff and ensure the infrastructure, services, and public safety are managed efficiently. So we do our best with that. It's not my job to do their job. My job to support them and in their positions. So. And then my goal is support the Board of Trustees in their governance of the town of Bayfield, maintain a supportive and knowledgeable admin staff. My mantra is you got to get them trained. You can't just assume that they're going to learn it, and if they learn it from somebody that didn't go to training, they're going to learn things that they shouldn't be doing. So anyway, I think we've done a really good job there. I know that we just spent some time at CML, and I'm really glad that we had 3 trustees that went to CML as well. So, also, the CIRSA training, our chief went, so he understands what CIRSA is all about, and then the CML district meeting. So all of these are training opportunities for you. And of course, then the staff. I know that Parks and Rec. Or parks, there's also, professional organizations, the planning, American Institute of Planners, there's also, professional training Wastewater, there's certainly a lot of training and a lot of agencies that definitely want to provide that support. So Kathy's going to go to CGFONA. That's finance organization for Colorado government finance operatives. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but we always want to make sure that they're trained. Encourage and fund training and network opportunities to stay up to date. So not only up to date with them within their network, but also, from employee to employee as well. We've had some breakfasts and some barbecues, and I know my time has been kind of limited, but maybe we'll have a couple more before summer ends. So. And then monitor current affairs and be proactive to implement innovative ideas. I think just being a part of the manager's listserv, CML has a manager's listserv, so I can send out information, and I also get information back from other managers that are dealing with current affairs. And the conferences that I go to, not only CML, but Colorado County and City Managers Association, I'll go to that. We're going to have a Western Slope managers meeting on the 10th in Grand Junction, and also looking at emerging managers at a time, to make sure that I'm not only getting trained, but also mentoring as well. So continue to be cognizant of the future, including investment and grant opportunities, and establish a realistic capital improvement plan. We've had a capital improvement plan. I think that maybe the message has gotten a little bit clearer about why we need a capital improvement plan. I know that it's been some time that what am I supposed to do in a capital improvement plan? So typically I've always had 5 years. So this is what's going to happen in 1 year, and 2 years, and 3 years. Granted, it's not going to be a perfect document because things are going to change within that year, let alone 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. But you just keep that up to date. And then there's a 6 to 10 year process, and then also an unknown. So it's always good to have all of those capital improvements out there for the board. So with my deputy town clerk and finance technician, Kristen's been really good at spreadsheets and putting that together. So she's been doing a vehicle spreadsheet. She's working with Matt Gallegos at the police department, and basically getting full inventory of, so we do have replacement years, and I know that she's going to do a really good job helping direct and support the staff in their capital improvement plan, right? I know she will. She does a really good job with anything we give her. So my plan, I've always held this from even when I was in private business, is practical long-range approach to the near future. So granted, there are things that we can plan ahead for. I never thought it was going to take 5 years to do the shared use path at Bayfield Center, but I think maybe we're going to get there. That's not a plan in the future, but actually looking at the east intersection, stormwater maintenance, all these things that you probably, what's the big deal? Maybe it's not a big deal, but just making sure you have that foundation to make sure that you're planning correctly for the future. So in my 2025 budget is complete the strategic plan and implement timely goals. Granted, I know that we're not there yet to have a strategic plan, maybe, and we'll have that discussion a little bit later on, but actually have those goals. Maybe 2024, get to the bottom of ClearGov. Kristen's been really good at working with ClearGov and doing that entry. I did talk to another finance director that I worked with, and she's having the same issue. So ClearGov is making a lot of promises that I don't think it's as easy, but it is their job to do this for us, not for us to continue to figure it out. So hopefully we get to the bottom of it. If not, we may just, come to the board and just say, we just can't keep spending $10,000 a year and get nothing, so.
That is our current contract. It would have been 21 to 2024 regardless. We had a whole total of
Yep.
30 days to back out of this contract. So we're stuck in it until the end of this year, no
Yep.
matter what, so.
Yep.
so everybody-
And then recruit and retain qualified staff. It's sad to hear one of our water operators is leaving. We get them all trained up in the right certifications, possibly, a emerging manager that could take over from the current senior operator. But, that we just get there and they take off. In the discussion, we had a stay interview. So, we had an interview to see what we could do to keep that person to stay. Salary was not all that far off, but time off, some child provisions that he personally felt were significant in this new job versus where he's at now. Some of the things we've tried to fix in the environment, I think, maybe we got there, maybe we were trying to get there, but those are things that we did kind of hear from him as well. So we are continuing to look for facilities and grounds. Today I was down at the senior center and the air handlers are all full of cotton and elm seeds, and we really, we were really kind of struggling to keep up with the maintenance of these buildings. And in 2008, they built the senior center and town hall, and there's really never a plan to keep those maintained. And so we're going to lose a condenser any day at the senior center. I have a feeling that, our seniors would like to be comfortable in there. So something else you're going to see on the agenda on Tuesday as well. So consider a better method for social media marketing and press release. So in the last couple months, probably since January, we've kind of heard from some other communities and other consultants that, it may be time we actually look for a social media consultant that does that. Typically, it's just me, and there's days I run out of time to even put the Tamarack street closure. I just ran out of time to get that information out there. So actually looking at, what that possibility would be for. So that's the end of that document. Certainly if you have any questions or concerns, or it's not the direction you would like to go.
So before we get too far into this is a strategic planning statements, and you have goals and budget. So I just want to make sure I'm looking at it right. As far as the budget items, like complete the strategic plan and implement timely goals, is there any budget item related to that? Or D, consider a better method of social media. Will you have a social media manager included in the budget? Are these 2025?
I know that
related to the budget, or just tell me
So
what you're thinking
it's related to say, here is the 50,000 foot level.
Mhm.
That's where we're at today.
Right.
So here's the purpose and vision, and there's some goals in there and some priority items, but we have not gotten to actual amounts yet. If you absolutely say, hey, we don't need a social media consultant, or, I think the school district got one for 10 hours a week or something.
I think it's 20.
So, if you're absolutely opposed to that, it would be good to know. There's no sense me looking for amounts or what it's going to cost if you're
Right.
opposed to it.
It's 50,000 feet, so I'm looking at, so that one will have a number attached to it, D. Recruit and retain qualified staff will probably have a number to it. ClearGov has a number. So these would eventually have a number tied to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is just goals that I think we would like to do with the 2025 budget.
And then the goals are also 50,000 feet
Somewhat,
vision.
yeah. And if
And they will be converted into measurable goals. SMART goals.
They'll be measured, there'll be amount at some point. If you're opposed to any one of these, then we're not making any decisions here tonight, but it'd be good to know, and the same thing with the rest of the staff.
Katie, if I understand correctly, these statements are just to say, here's what I do.
Yeah.
Here's my goals as an individual leader, and then to sort of put together a little shopping list.
Yep.
But we're not to get into the weeds. It's just so we have a general idea
Right.
of
Correct.
what each department head is interested in pursuing. And once we get to budgeting, we'll tighten that up and we'll have money attached to it and all of that. Would that be correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It has to have
Okay.
money attached to
Okay.
it
Yeah.
by the end.
Okay, just getting clarification around there. So I just would like a little quick shopping list, no big discussion, just curious. What would be the top 3 key roles that you feel the town administration needs to fill that would have the most impact?
Well, the most impact is an HR director. So we have, our records are not compliant. They haven't been compliant since I got here. I've tried to do whatever I can in the time I've had. But it's got to be somebody that has basically security clearance, like they did for me to get a background check, and not necessarily just an intern or anybody that just shows up. You really have to know what you're doing. We did, when Dustin got here, he actually went through and redacted a lot of the things that were in these personnel files and went through them all. I think that was kind of your first job when you got here. At least we secured some part of that up, but we have a long ways to go to get compliant, including all of the laws, federal or state, that surround personnel management. Personnel management changed a lot during the pandemic. Every time somebody either leaves or quits or gets terminated, we have unemployment. We have to go through that process and make sure all the boxes are checked and we're properly responding to their unemployment claims. And sometimes an employment claim can be challenged, and then you have to figure out how to do that. So these are all timely things. The unemployment office doesn't send it to you when I can get around to it. I think we have 10 days from the time we get notice to respond to those. There is a lot in the fact that, benefit analysis, health insurance, going out for quotes, something I really wanted last year that just never got done. Even though our broker came back with quotes, we didn't get all the quotes that they could have gotten with that. Having those stay interviews, doing interviews that are qualified and understand what to ask and what not to ask, and making sure that there's some onboarding. So onboarding and making sure that, they know where the water plant is and they know where Joe Stevenson Park is. And, they have, it's a timely, but it's really important to make sure your employees feel valued in coming to work here.
Well, and the truth of the matter is that employees cost any organization a lot of money. So retention's very important. Having a really good plan, finding ways to save organizations' money through that employment. You really need someone with the sophistication, the education, and the background to do that. So
Yeah, you're talking about $60,000 for an employee that gets onboarded and then is gone, and
Yes.
Really
per
Very
employee,
expensive.
per employee.
right? Yeah. And who else would you put in that shopping list?
So facilities and grounds, we've been trying to hire that for quite a while now. Almost it's going to go on a year in October. But just the maintenance of the buildings, like I said, cleaning out cotton and elm seeds in those handlers is going to extend the life of our system. Heating and cooling here at Town Hall, light bulbs, and going to more energy efficient bulbs. Every time, when the light goes out on the flagpole, then there would be a work order sent out versus, who's going to do it today?
And what's not going to get done today.
And what's not
so-
going to get done today? A flag at half staff. The governor has a listserv, so you can get that, half staff. And we've missed that a couple times. I'm looking out at the flag going, well, I don't have time to lower it. So, those are things that, all the things that, Joe did. We had thermostats replaced. We had, looked at landscaping. We looked at the grounds here. We have sprinkler systems that are failing here at Town Hall. We have a lot of turf we don't need. So all those things could be handled by facilities and grounds.
And I hear opportunities to save money and all of that also.
Yes. Well, and we have maybe to be a model for growing water-wise as well.
Gotcha. Anybody else on that list?
Well, I think that, at some point, I'm not talking about 2025, 2026 or 2027, Best and Brightest, Department of Local Affairs pays about $40,000 to $45,000 a year for an intern, somebody that's either finished their MPA or is working on their master's in public administration or political science. And typically, basically, that's a not only a good place to start to train, but also you want to, if you can't grow staff here, maybe grow them to another, managing another town in Colorado somewhere.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for the town manager? Community development.
So mission for community development, as Kate said, we created the mission, vision, values as part of the comprehensive plan process. But just kind of zeroing in a little bit more, so, so this would be more of what I do and what my vision will be for what my position is. So work collaboratively with and for our community to ensure that the town plans and develops in the manner envisioned in the 2023 comp plan and adopted land use code. Ensure Bayfield is a livable community pursuing the housing, economic development, infrastructure, recreation, and sustainability resiliency desires of the community. Goals would be to continue to implement our 2023 comprehensive plan, review all projects according to the adopted land use code and building codes, amend the comprehensive plan and land use code as needed to meet the goals and vision of the community, provide oversight for the current grant-funded town projects that we've got going on, research and apply for new grant funding to support town capital improvement program. You'll see I don't have a lot of capital in my budget, but I support Mark and Jeremy and Dustin or whoever maybe needs some grant funding or some support as they're looking at their capital program to be able to support them for capital. And continue to provide customer service to the public. And then I added one too, is just continuing, I have a professional, as Katie reminded me, I have a professional certification, American Institute of Certified Planners. And so I have to have continuing education. I do a lot of that for free online, so that's been nice, but I do attend at least one conference a year to get in-person training. So just continuing that as part of my goal. And then in terms of budget, I did have some numbers. Some of this could change too. But we, as part of the water-wise process we're going through, one of the things that's coming out of that is a water efficiency plan for the community. And we were told that runs about $60,000, but there's grants out there. So if we do want to pursue that, if the board's interested, we probably would need to have a $30,000 match to apply for some grant for that. And then I have a building and plumbing inspector that does all my inspections. And as we're getting more building going on out there, I think this year we budgeted 25, so I'm looking at maybe 30,000 next year as a safe number to keep them on paid. And then also looking at one of the items that came out of the comprehensive plan, and I know this kind of ties in with the sidewalk project, but even just looking at guidelines for Mill Street, and not just like the infrastructure part of it, but the buildings. like, what do we want it to look like in the future? Is it good? Are there things that we want to make sure are maintained, and how do we do that? And sometimes we need some imagery for the community to understand, and so maybe looking at a consultant for that, or any other long-range plans that we might want to pursue next year. So that'll be one that will continue to form as we have these budget meetings and determine what the board would be interested in. And then our software, I did reach out, they said it's not going up, fortunately, for next year, so I already know what that is. So again, these are just kind of the current ones. As Katie said, they'll change as we move along with the budget process.
Can you remind me of the active land use grants that we're working with right now? Just a quick list.
Yeah, so we just closed out the East Mill, so that one's wrapped up. We have the 2.7 million coming for Cinnamon Heights. And then we have 1.57 million federal funding that we're gonna get for the intersection, the new signal intersection. Where the SUP project, the shared use path, we have over $1 million for that project right now as well. And then when we finish the stormwater feasibility, Katie and I did talk to the USDA, and they said that they would be interested in giving us a grant after the fact for that plan once it's adopted.
Nice.
So we might be able to go back and get that reimbursed for what we spent with SGM for that one. Jeremy, Katie, am I missing any?
Code enforcement. So I know that we've talked a lot about code enforcement and building inspection, and is that a plan for 2025, or do you think it's still, we're a ways off? I know the police department deals with it now, and
We kind of work in tandem, but it's something Chief and I should probably get together and figure out what's needed there. Any other grants out there? I think those are the big ones that we
Okay.
have right now. But again, looking at some water-wise grants, we also want to try and find some grant funding for the gateway that we want to dedicate to Joe Stevenson and Moreland, and what was the third?
Harmon.
Harmon. So looking for some grant funding for that. The other one we've talked about is wayfinding signs. You know, in our community, senior center's this way, town hall's this way, Joe Stevenson Park this way. And we have a adopted wayfinding sign program. We just only have one sign, and that's on the highway as we enter into Bayfield from heading eastbound. So maybe looking for some funding to be able to provide some, library, some additional wayfinding signs. So those are things that you might see. A lot of that's under the streets, so you might see as we come through the process, looking for some of those bigger projects as well.
Thank you.
Who works on recruiting new businesses to move into town?
So that is more of a chamber of commerce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be super cautious. It's interesting because I got an email today from somebody who read the Herald article about Tractor Supply, where the Herald said that the town acquired Tractor Supply for the community. We did not
What?
do that.
No.
And what came of that is explaining that my role as the planner, I have to be very cautious, because my role is to look at the code and interpret the code for businesses that come into town and residential. And some of them come to the board and planning commission, and some are at the staff level. Tractor Supply was at the staff level, it didn't need to go to planning commission or the board. This person was not happy with that and wants to make the land use process a little more complicated for businesses they want everything to come to planning commission and the board.
Why?
No.
Why was that feeling? I mean,
I don't know, I didn't get enough.
yeah, we
detail,
don't know.
But they just think any business that comes to town should have to go through that process, that staff shouldn't be allowed to just approve it, they need our code. But, so I have to be super cautious because I review that and I have to be very neutral in my review. And so therefore I can't be going out trying to get businesses to come to town, so it's private property, The business looks at a property, they talk to a realtor, then they come to me and start asking questions. But really, if we wanted to attract businesses, usually like for downtown, you would have a business improvement district that would do that,
Mhm.
or a chamber of commerce, or you hire an economic development coordinator or manager, or in this case, La Plata County has an Economic Development Alliance, they can help do that. But I have to be super cautious just because of my role in terms of, I review that. So it could be considered a conflict of interest if I'm trying to bring a business in and then I review it.
I see.
Yeah.
I went and took, after the CML conference, I went and took a tour of their modular building factory. And I was looking at it, it doesn't, I mean, it was really fascinating, but it doesn't take up all that much space that you would think it does. Wouldn't that be a cool thing to have?
Or you can talk to people, and then they just come to me and I start them through the process. What I would say is you gotta be super cautious about your conversations. Again, we've talked about this, there's quasi judicial, which you actually act as a judge. And therefore, if you have that ex parte with the business, you need to disclose that. And it could require you to recuse yourself depending on that level. And that's where the town attorney would help weigh in. So you always have to be cautious when a project could come to you with that ex parte communication, so that outside communication. But again, I have to be super careful about that because I need to be neutral on everything that I review. And review it just based on the intent of the code.
Any other questions? Moving on to finance.
Good evening. So, my mission is to provide accurate financial reporting and provide proper oversight of all expenditures and collections of revenue in order to successfully support the operations of the town of Bayfield. My vision is to ensure proper management of town finances while maintaining an open and transparent relationship with the citizens of Bayfield. My goals for my office are to provide and support to all staff through the budget process, maintain grant reporting and reimbursement requests. I work very closely with Nicole and town manager Sickles, and I provide all the reimbursement requests, but I work very closely with them to provide that. It's always my goal to maintain accurate financial records for the town and to establish a budget process that works well for all departments, for all of us to work together. My budget is the cost for the 2024 audit services, and we'll see where ClearGov takes us and see where it goes.
Are there monthly employee cost reviews? So I realize we've got kind of patching together of trying to do the job of an HR director. So between Katie and then Kristen and yourself, is that one area, because we know we have a bit of a hole there, is that one area that you kind of do monthly reviews to sort of make sure that the employee aspect of the budget is staying within your budget parameters?
It's probably something I look at probably more than anything.
Okay.
And, when we have vacancies in the police department and then, we get staffed and then we're not staffed. Last year was certainly, we were down in salaries. So I know next week, Chief is going to come and ask for maybe an academy allowance to send somebody through the academy again. So even though salary or a labor cost is not necessarily mixed with operations, you're still going to save some money in labor costs, and you could use that for academy. So if somebody starts the academy in August, I think it's 5 months. They 19 weeks. I don't know what that is. That's close. That's pretty darn close.
Close.
So I think those are things that
Somebody wandering around out there.
they may be wanting to vote, because
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, the election is just closed, I guess, and sometimes they think that we are doing the counting here, so,
For a polling station.
yeah.
Okay, that answers that question. Did we skip Kristen?
We're gonna go back.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because it's not, sorry, I was going down the list. So let's go to the deputy town clerk then.
Okay, my mission is to provide accurate and timely payroll and benefits to every Bayfield Town Hall and Bayfield Police Department employee, and to assist the finance director with the 2025 budget process. My vision is to seek a balanced budget with adequate funding resources for current and future employment, assist to carry out board of trustee goals and directives. That kind of leads towards helping Dustin in town clerk area. I definitely need to do more payroll trainings and clerk trainings to get to where I need to be. I've been doing this for 3 months, you know, not very long, right? And I think we should compare the cost of the way that we did payroll previous to 2024, when we
2023,
changed it.
yeah,
Like, was it
yeah.
2023 or 2024
Yeah.
that changed? Couldn't remember. And see if which way is more effective of doing it. And I've been working on the ClearGov project to find out where we can get with them, and I definitely have to have a block of your time to explain that, because it's very long. I've been making a lot of notes because there's a lot to it. Cassell, our software, will need to budget for our HR module, payroll module, and timekeeping module. Our previous HR director had notes that we need to save money for electronic W-2s and 1099s, and probably what's the health insurance document, Katie? 1095Bs?
Yeah, 1095Bs, yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Our ease platform that our employees currently use to be able to manage all of their benefits, so they can log in and they can see medical, dental, vision, what it all costs them, who all they have enrolled, beneficiaries, dependents, all of that is going to go out of date in 2026. So we can implement Employee Navigator is what they're going to move to. We can implement that in 2025, or you can kick the can to 2026, but 2026 we're going to have to do it. Benefit cost update with the HR director when hired, deletions or additions to employee benefits, and I'd like to be able to attend municipal clerk training, municipal clerk annual conference, Cassell annual conference, anything that I can get some more knowledge on. And I did also add CIPs in helping with all of them and all of the departments. I kind of lumped that in with my mission of helping with the budget process, I guess. So I added that to the bottom.
Well, I appreciate your enthusiasm to get training. That's awesome. That's awesome. I always support that. You know, you always want to be better and do better. So that's an important item. I'm glad you explained the Cassell and then the ease, because that was a question that I had. I didn't know if they were actually crossing over, you know, and kind of double dipping on what they were used for. So that's beneficial. Thank you.
The platform will change.
Okay.
Where are we on a new HR director?
Yeah.
So we interview on Friday.
And this is the second round.
3, actually.
3
it's-
candidates?
Yeah, it's almost our 3rd round, but.
And then when we get an HR director, you'll still do payroll and these other items?
So our goal is that we hang in there and train this person for 6 months. Keep in mind that there's going to be
Right.
a good couple months of actually getting the HR piece under control. And then having Kristen train this person in the payroll piece of it. You know, Kristen's really good at spreadsheets and finance issues, which is going to be very beneficial between me and Kathy to help us get the budget and work with our department directors for some of these things she can help basically be the I want to say you're going to be the spreadsheet guru. Get all that put together with all.
There's much higher arching things that an HR director is going to need to step in on while I continue to take payroll on. And also I'm a part-time employee. So me doing payroll right now is like, if I take a week off, then that means bills don't get paid that week.
Yeah.
That means if payroll was that week that I took off, Kathy has to do it, Katie has to do it, and you know. So having a crossover of HR and two people being able to do payroll consistently would be huge.
Well,
So that an HR director can take a vacation and I can take a vacation and we have each other covered.
well, there's a difference too between a finance technician and an HR director. An HR director is the over-guiding individual that's doing all the heavy lifting, but the technician backfills and takes care of a lot of things that an HR director really shouldn't be doing. So absolutely, I understand that. And then I think you're also working with Dustin, so how that time is split up. I think it's just about more efficiency and more accuracy and having systems in place that protect the town, especially when it comes to employees. So.
We also have records retention that, you know, all the land use projects for many years back are still in binders and paper, and it would be good to, that deputy clerk position, having that records retention, training and background, and there's a lot of good things in the town clerk training that would help with that, so.
Also even building permits, like kind of going back to Kristen with payroll. If I take any time off, no building permits get issued. I have no backup there. And so having some being able to train somebody to help me, so that I can take some time off besides a Friday and a long weekend, would be beneficial so that we're not holding people up. Because I don't want to be holding up somebody who needs a building permit and I'm just not here to issue them. And building permits and simple land use permits, they become first priority. So when things come in the door, if I'm working on something more longer range, those current things that come in, I gotta get them out and they take precedent over everything else. So having some help manage that would be good.
Absolutely.
I would definitely.
So in another community that I worked in, we had every building permit that was ever issued, and when they were all nicely and neat in every file, so I could go to any address and I could see all the history, all the way back to the tap application, the builder, the square footage, when it took place, the whole thing, and their water tap application, their sewer tap application, and what it cost them. Everything that happened, even code enforcement, was in these paper files. And that's one thing we struggle with because they're kind of scattered all over. And I know the chief wants his part-time administrator back too.
I moved the microphone to say something. But I was going to chime in on the Kristen bandwagon. Yeah, she does a lot for us as well as far as the courts. She's our court liaison. Amber's not here. She fills in part-time as a clerk with us. She does a lot of work with the data entry and the records keeping and everything like that. And yes, she got stolen from me.
I have not worked for him,
3 months.
I almost did court on Thursday. I almost did court. That was it.
How many hours are you?
So I was about 20. I got up to 25 to be part-time, and between 25 and 30 is where I'm trying to stay. I've been going above 30 a few times, just with all the things that we've been doing. I would like to stay about 25 because that still gives me time. And plus this summer, they lucked out with it being summer because I have bigger hours with summer camps going on right now, so I can actually dedicate that time right now. But in the school, I have 8 to 3. That's Monday through Thursday. It just is what it is. I have to drop my kids off. I have to pick them up. So I have less the rest of the year.
We've come a long way with actual physical redaction to those files. There is still a lot of digital
Mhm,
interaction that's
mhm.
taking place. We've been exploring some of that.
Mhm.
That's another thing on our agenda as well.
Mhm.
You get like my liquor license files and stuff, you see it's redacted.
Mhm.
There's a certain point where it's not so much that we're going from present back in time, trying to get that taken care of as
Mhm.
well with our Adobe Pro.
Gotcha. Well, and this speaks to Public Works losing someone. You know, the fact that one of the number one things was they needed time off. And so, you know, keeping all of that in mind, we need to support all of you in the best way that we can. So all of you want to stay and continue to support our community, which we need to value. And you need to have a nice balance of personal life with your work life. So I get that 100%.
Anything else? Human resource?
Yeah, so I put this together. It's basically going over what I just did in the town manager, especially with the responses to the questions just at this time. And, you know, the town has been very good at providing health insurance benefits for employees. In fact, you know, some of the employees that have left realized that, you know, they didn't get as good health benefits. Maybe the salary was a little bit more. But anyway, just making sure we continue to seek health insurance benefits and monitor laws, reorganize the personnel files for compliance, and implement the human resource Cassell software. So we actually have software that I don't think has ever been used. And you know, we were kind of sold on it and found out that it still has to be used and implemented. So that could be our digital pathway, but I don't expect Kristen to do that in the short time that she may be working in payroll.
Questions?
No. Mm-mm. I understand that.
No, I don't have
Facilities?
any.
Oh, sorry. Facilities and grounds?
So another position that we'll be interviewing on Friday as well, to keep the systems up and running. You know, Carrie does a great job with the senior center, but she doesn't have time to worry about condensers and cotton and elm seeds, and, you know, restrooms break too and they need work. So basically, all the things. And that also includes some of our other public works facilities as well when they need assistance for their facilities. It may not be as much as we need for some of these newer buildings, but there is a need. You know, even the passcode system or the, you know, card system, that still needs to work. We have a door that is just not quite working, and these two doors still aren't working correctly for the security system. So, but I don't expect Mark to drop cutting grass to figure out the door problem.
So you are interviewing someone on Friday?
Yes,
Very
a
good.
couple, four
Okay.
people on
Very
Friday.
good. Again, I hear over and over again that we're just spreading our staff too thin, and that's a concern, so.
Questions? Police?
Can we back up for a minute? This facilities and ground person does not exist right now on staff? Because Mark's just trying to cover it. This is a new.
Everybody's covering it. Corey, Mark,
Right, this is a-
Jeremy, me.
This is one of the
Kristen.
new positions in the new,
Plan.
We had Joe covering it.
yeah. But with our split, with our new organizational chart last year, this was one of the new positions created.
It was in 2023, it was a new position, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, just as things pop up that need to be repaired, going and doing it. We're not actually, doing inspections, or we're just trying to keep up with what needs to be taken care of at the time.
We're reactive, not proactive. Yeah, I mean, just like the condenser at the senior center. We had our backflow tester out here when he was out for the freezer repair. He was able to give us an estimate, so I forwarded that estimate to Mark, he'll get the
Right.
with them to get it repaired. So we've just been kind of trying to share that responsibility amongst the different departments, and then, Mark got A to Z, got the flagpole light fixed, Corey fixed that kickstands out here in front of the door, like, so we're just trying to, when we get that extra time, we're picking up the pieces, so it'd be nice to have somebody that was actually dedicated to be able, I mean, just chasing down contractors is.
Timely, yeah.
Time, yeah.
Oh my gosh, somebody to help with all the phone implementation and all of that
Yeah.
would have been,
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on like fixing it retroactively because I
Didn't
didn't
quite.
have the time when he
Yeah.
was here. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate all of you pitching in and working together, but we need to make that stop. We need to make that stop.
Good evening. Our mission statement is within our policy manual, so every one of our employees has a copy of the mission statement. And it's like the first part of our policy manual, so it's embedded in there. Our daily mission is to embrace our community and enhance their quality of life through partnership, problem solving, protection of life and property, prevention of crime, and reduction of fear of crime. We accomplish this mission by living our core values, providing exceptional customer service, maintaining technical excellence, and respecting individual liberties and personal dignity. I was part of a team that wrote the mission statement several years ago to another, and I brought it with me because I was part of the authoring. And what was good then still is perfect for now. And our core values are still there. That's how we police this town. That's how we represent our agency for this community, both here and when we're out of town. We've changed a lot of things to make sure that when Bayfield officers are going to training, they represent very well. So we've changed a lot of things over the past year. I won't go too much into the definitions of all those, but the goals for 2025 is recruit and retain officers with the goal of reaching 100% staffing. We recently did a stay meeting with one of our officers, and we found out yesterday they are going to stay. So we will be still just looking for an SRO, which we have a couple applicants that have applied that have post-certification. One of them is a certified SRO, so we're gonna be looking at those two within the next couple of weeks to try to bring them on board. So once, knock on wood, because it's Tuesday, Wednesday could be a whole different ballgame for me. We hope to be fully staffed with an SRO by the time school starts.
Good work on the stay interview.
Oh, thank you. It was Katie. We kind of tag teamed when we went in there together. Continue to build upon our philosophy of providing the best law enforcement services for the community and its visitors. Yesterday we had a training session for the whole entire department. We went over what my philosophy is when it comes to patrolling our neighborhoods, our businesses, and our parks. I want them visible. I want them seen by everybody, and I want them to check everything to make sure that our town is safe and secure. So we went through about 2.5 hours of training yesterday on doing different things of my goals for right now. Build upon our training capabilities to enhance our knowledge and services. We were behind a lot in our training. We just sent another officer to SWAT school. We have one that's already SWAT certified and participates in the regional SWAT team. We are sending hopefully an officer to Read Interview School, which is a very, very detailed school on how to interview people and realize if they're telling the truth or not. So we are spreading what we know further and further to make sure that when we handle a situation here in town, it's handled correctly. Continue to rebuild our equipment so officers have the best and most modern equipment to promote safety and deter criminal activity. I can't tell you how many times when we pull up one of our cars to another agency or another meeting, they want to see what we have in our cars now because they don't have it. And it's because of you guys voting to give us this equipment based upon Senate bill, but we are now modernizing, and everybody's kind of impressed about what we are doing, and they're looking at transitioning from their equipment into equipment like ours. Push for providing policies, equipment, and training for officer safety so that each member can go home at the end of their shift. That is my number one priority, is officer safety. Yesterday's training was geared for that and how to utilize our body-worn cameras to get dispatch involved. They have to go by policy, tell dispatch to go live, but dispatch can go live
and watch the scene. And if they get into some kind of trouble, dispatch can relay to the responding officers what's going on. So we are training one-on-one with ourselves and with dispatch, and we are now working with county on certain trainings. 2 of our officers just went up to county today to get TASER certified. I got the video if you want to watch. Okay. But our goals for 2025 is reestablish our staffing levels by adding an additional sergeant position. Last year, I gave up this position so that we could try to move our salaries in the right direction to be more competitive with everybody else. And by doing so, we are. We're very competitive with everybody else now. That's why we're getting more than just one look at our agency now. Replace 2 of our aging vehicles. Basically, we got 2 vehicles that are almost up on blocks up there. We can't use them because they need so much work to them. They just sit there. So next year, we'll rotate them out and get 2 additional vehicles. And I do plan on staying with the Kansas Highway Patrol fleet vehicle program because we are able to get exceptional vehicles for almost half the price. Purchase, I got the bids in for the in-car body-worn cameras from utility for the 2 new vehicles. That's required by Senate bill. Purchase some radar speed signs. I've been working with Jeremy and Corey trying to get some pricing and some other things for some radar speed signs to put up on our roadways that we have major traffic complaints on. And we're looking at getting the ones that we can Bluetooth in, we can pull and extract data out on when we know the problem times are and how much traffic flow we have on these roads. We're looking at purchasing 4 radar units, 2 for the replacement vehicles, and there's 2 vehicles that we have on patrol right now that don't have radar. And it's very important for us to have these type of tools in our vehicles for Buck Highway, 501, Clover, you name it. It's an important tool for us to have for probable cause for stops and to promote traffic enforcement safety in our town. We plan on purchasing a couple desks and some equipment for the office. We just purchased our shipping container. It's up at Public Works. We're getting ready to put all the storage and shelving in, and then we'll move all of our equipment out of the office over there and make that an office that's viable for all of our officers to use. And then the last thing, after the situation that happened at the senior center last year where someone threw all the asphalt chunks all over the place, it somehow happened in a place that the cameras did not pick up. And so I reached out to Stone Security, who's doing our doors. They have a subcontracting company that does millstone security. I didn't know I worked with them before. I have the equipment. The process is great. We've gotten some bids in for 2025 on how to better protect Town Hall and every facility we have in town, plus our parks. And it's all integrated into one system. And I talked to Katie a little bit. We're trying to figure out how to phase this in properly for risk management, liability, and asset protection. That should do it for me.
So in your action statements, just going through those, which I think are great, I'm just wondering, how are you able to sort of track and monitor how your officers are meeting those action statements?
Technology. Spillman, it allows us to track all their calls for services. Within our meeting yesterday, I mandated that they have to properly put themselves on every call because they're so used to not putting themselves on a citizen assist, a building check, a house check, that they aren't doing it in the system yet. So it's not really properly documenting all of our calls. So that was reinforced yesterday on that they have to start doing this. And when it comes to patrolling the town correctly and making sure they are in our business districts, they're in our neighborhoods, they're in our parks, utility has a system within it that allows me to search their patrol patterns to make sure they are hitting every street. And it tells me the times they're doing it too, if I want to get that far into it. So it just shows me that they care enough about our community to hit every street. And that's one of the goals I told them, hit every street in your shift.
Very good.
Did that answer your question?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just wondering, because it's measured by technology.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Law enforcement nowadays is more data-driven than ever. And so the technology within Spillman allows me to count the calls, see the calls, when the calls come in, and I can put that all in a graph. I'll have to get Kristen to help me. But we can put it all in a graph and we can see how everything is. And then within utility, it also documents their day-to-day activities of where they are, whether it's with their body worn on or with their car on. It shows me if they're out and about, if I want to research that. But I can actually prove that our officers were in a neighborhood at a certain time if there's an incident that goes on. And it also allows, by them doing that, all of our cars have ALPRs, that's automatic license plate readers. It documents everything that's going by them. So as they're going through neighborhoods, it'll alert if they go by a vehicle that was dumped there that was stolen. It'll tell them bless you. It'll tell them that it's stolen. So then we'll be on top of it before it ever gets reported. So this technology that we are getting in is helping us immensely about how we are protecting this community.
Very good. I'm sure we won't get into it tonight, but it sounds like you've done a really good job with your footwork to try to get a sense of what these things are going to cost when you come to us at budget. So, because your list is pretty succinct and identified.
I actually have almost all the invoices or quotes in. It's one of those things that when we started the new year, I started buying everything real quick. That's why Kathy yelled at me for spending money so fast. But it was one of those things is that when I saw what we did, I figured out what we needed to do further. And I work with Dustin, I work with Amber, and we are documenting everything we're spending, why we're spending it, where, and what we're going to need for the future, because I don't think it was ever done before. Mm-hmm. And so now we are putting everything in line items as we go forward. Oh, by the way, before I became an officer, I was an accounting major. So.
It helps, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. Good. Great.
So with our cars, we're still not caught up. We still have, not even close.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. But yeah, we got the 3 cars were still, I think they're getting ready to be auctioned. That was from the ones we replaced starting 2024. We have 2 Dodge Chargers up there. One of them needs almost $3,000 worth of work on it, and the car's only worth $1,500. So we are not going to touch that at all. We have another vehicle that needs some work on it as well, so we're not going to touch it at all. And then we have a 2-wheel drive that is basically not functional for 6 months of the year here. So we will keep one of them just as an extra, but 2 of them will have to go because they are just not functional or operational for what we do and for safety and cost. Katie and I had a meeting when I first got here. She told me to reduce the cost of fleet maintenance. And I think right now my goal, we cut our budget in half this year to $15,000, and I think we're not even at 3, and we're 6 months in a year. Yeah, we're about, so by getting these vehicles that we are getting, I have a fleet manager, he's taking care of all of our vehicles, he's mandating oil changes, he's mandating all this other stuff. We are getting our vehicles serviced properly, we're maintaining them, and we're saving the town money by not having to go to 4 corners to get transmission work, radiator work, brake work, all this other stuff, because we were able to figure out what needed to be done.
How do you get rid of the non-functional vehicles?
By rule, we have to strip them down, take all the decals off, that's by law, and then I give them to Jeremy to sell.
Okay. Well, how long does it take to do that? I mean, how long have we had these vehicles sitting around that are no good?
Well, first of all, I have to go with their schedule. I mean, I have a vehicle out there that needs to be stripped, they gotta strip it, so I have to wait on their schedule. So it's not something that's gonna be, hey, here, Jeremy, here's a vehicle, and then tomorrow it's ready to go. It could take a month or 2, because they got so much work to do, and then you got, who is it, ClearNet keeps breaking a line every day, so you're out there fixing stuff. So we're, knock on wood, they haven't done it in a while, right? But it's one of those is that when we do get permission to decommission a vehicle, it takes several months to get to the point based on his schedule, my schedule, and they don't take out everything. I still have to have some of my electronic people from our installers come in to make sure that they remove certain things so we can reuse them in the other cars.
And then it's typically a 30-day auction at the most, so we use Public Service cars, public works, government vehicles, and things like that. We work with a third-party vendor, and then typically, once we do finish the auction, they're 30 days net, so you're looking at 2 months before you see any of those payments that will come in from the vendor that we use to make sure they're compliant with statute.
So
Long time to get your money.
we've extended the mileage or minutes, I don't remember which one it was, for how far away people can stay, police officers can live.
That's correct. It moved to
And
45
we're
minutes.
giving them a car.
It's
for-
it's modified.
It's modified, right. But two things, just looking at budget for 2025. One, will that increase in mileage? Because now we're taking these cars 100 miles a day just to get to work, pretty much. And the insurance, will our insurance change at all because they have them in their possession, or is it just continue the same?
The insurance basically insures them for a brand-new replacement. CIRSA does not insure them for the mileage nor for the years or how old they are. So if we have a Humvee out there that's could be replacement value for $150,000, that's the insurance we're paying, even though it's probably a $30,000 piece of vehicle.
I spoke wrong. Insurance premiums,
That's
Will-
what I'm talking about.
that won't change. Okay. Okay.
And as far as the mileage goes, with a modified take-home vehicle program, they won't be taking it home every day.
Right.
And the 1-2 days of their cycle, because we just went into a
Right.
new decompression schedule for wellness, family wellness, mental wellness, and everything like that, so they have more at-home time. So we've been working very hard lately to make sure our family over there is protected.
So, yeah, the lack of staff and the take-home vehicle, granted, it may not last forever. Maybe in 5 years, you'll be able to hire everybody here locally within 20 minutes. But right now, we can't seem to fill spots, and so you have to take next steps to actually fill staff positions.
Higher cost, higher wear and tear, or a police officer? I choose a police officer.
And we are doing our due diligence to make sure that we are getting the full value of our equipment now. And we're not letting it rot, letting it go to waste, or do anything like that. We are making sure that the vehicles they drive represent this community and that they're proud to be in that car as well.
Any more questions?
No.
Parks and Trails?
Before I get started on mine, too, just to chime in with Chief, with surveillance. I've reported quite a bit of vandalism and people that have tampered with our equipment in the parks. I report that, so if it ever were to get caught or somebody was to witness it, then he has, some information to go out to charge them with. But we never find who does this. So to have that surveillance would help out a lot with, tracking down the folks that are ripping off playground equipment or turning our water valves on, or there's all kinds of things that people do. So surveillance, I think, would be fantastic in the parks. My mission is to provide clean, well-maintained parks and trails for the Bayfield citizens. My vision is beautiful parks that meet the needs of all Bayfield residents and visitors. I see all kinds of different kind of activity in our parks and all ages. I think we do a pretty good job of keeping everything well maintained. But I think, there's a lot more that we could do to attract, more people in the parks. I think the parks is probably one of the largest attractions. I mean, you go out here on a Monday night and there's over 100 vehicles out there. So to continue to be able to, implement new sporting, equipment, playground, river access, all that, it just keeps the people coming. So those are my mission and my vision. My goals are to retain qualified employees and Now I have two of the finest individuals that I've had in 5 years that I've worked here working under me. They are fantastic. I know you guys have suffered a loss, and I want to do everything in my power to keep these two gentlemen working for me because they do a good job. They are, responsible and reliable and all the things that you need for a good employee. Safe, so to keep these guys is very important to me. So I do everything I can to make sure that they're comfortable and they have everything they need. And I believe the town does a good job, with all the benefits and, extras that they get doing that. So I would like to continue that. And this is something that I've done since I've got here, with a small amount of staff. Any improvements that we do in the parks, I try to do it in a way that reduces maintenance, whether that's improving irrigation for better coverage or adding, weed fabric, on our ground cover so we're not cutting weeds all summer, just to reduce that maintenance. We have several acres of property that we maintain, with 3 of us, it is challenging. So anything that we can do to make that easier for us, I believe is a smart decision. As our park operations grow, and as our tools and our equipment age, we have some vehicles that are like a 2006, not a ton of mileage, but they are getting older, and if it comes a point where they start nickel and diming us for repairs, then we're gonna need to replace those, as well as our equipment. Expanding our office space in the shop is something I think is needed. Right now, Joe and Ben share a tiny little desk that the laptop sits on, and it's out in the shop where we do our work. It's not an office. It's out, where we're grinding or cutting or doing repairs inside the shop, so they don't have an actual place to do their computer stuff, work orders, training, stuff like that. If I'm not using my computer, they use mine. My office is also our kitchen, where we have our fridge and our sink, and so, which it's fine.
One-stop shop.
I'm not complaining. But I think they would love, and I've already reached out to general contractor that these guys use to do some of the office space at the sewer, or the water plant, and the sewer plant.
And that's becoming more important too, so is we're moving more and more away from paper, and not to interrupt or anything else, so we're in a digital work order system, so all of our work orders come out digitally. It's not mobile friendly, so it really does require a workstation to be able to completely track these for reporting purposes. And so that's where we're really running into, and Public Works as well, is we have more butts than we have seats. So we don't necessarily have a station where, even a Public Works shop, we have 2 desktop computers that are in a break room that are shared by 4 guys. So it's like, you want to do your time card, or should we go buy a time card, or you do your time card in the afternoon, or, so, that's really where this is coming from.
I know we've looked into like a tablet too, where the guys could take it out in the field and do the job, but then you gotta have internet service, and that's another, cost. So for them just to have a place where they can come in and say, hey, I did this job, check it off, or do their training, in the winter, whatever it is they need to do. It's not a lot of time, but as we continue to grow, we're gonna need more space. And then my final goal, obviously, is to acquire funding for the Joe Stevenson Park Master Plan, which we are already doing, which is great. I'm excited, that we've actually taken more steps and things are developing, and we're not just sitting on it, again and sweeping it under the rug. So that's great. For 2025 budget, I really did capital improvements. Operational expense, probably the only 2 things that I see changing are me requesting more money for is vehicle equipment maintenance. We've already exceeded, or pretty close to exceeded that budget, only 6 months in, and fuel costs. as far as capital improvements, I definitely want to replace the skate park. I have done some training for ASD and guidelines for playground equipment. I reached out to a skate park vendor who sent me all the guidelines for, the current regulations that people, nationwide follow. There are no state laws, but there are guidelines, which is still important to follow. But our current skate park does not meet those guidelines. And this company is taking out this similar equipment all over the state of Colorado because they don't meet the guidelines. Our concrete is in rough shape, that was brought out in our CIRSA audit. So it's my job to have safe equipment out there, and I'm gonna keep bringing it, until we replace that or do something different, close it down, whatever we do, but it definitely needs attention. The shade structure that I would like to put in Gosney Park will be similar and probably pretty similar in cost. I've reached out to vendors already getting quotes for those. It is a little bit smaller, so it should be less than what we spent at Mesa. I think that's important to, the longevity of our playground equipment, keeping the sun and the UV rays off the plastic, and then just liability and safety for the kids that are playing on it when it's as hot as it's been, for the last month. So that is something that I would like to keep implementing in all of our parks every year. And then again, the office space at the park shop. And I'm hoping that I sent in blueprints, dimensions. We already have a lean-to and we have a roof over the space that I would like. So basically it'd be a slab, walls, interior. I would assume obviously some electrical. I don't think there'd be any plumbing. We already have HVAC in the office and all that. So I don't foresee it being too terribly expensive since there is already some structure in place. But with the cost of materials, it probably is not going to be cheap. So yeah, those are my plans and my visions, and some of these things is things that I've been doing since I've been here, and it's been beneficial. So if you guys have any questions for me?
Do you have you created, this is another job for Kristen, I'm sorry, but do you have an inventory report of all the equipment that you own, possess, the year, the wear and tear on it, and kind of the maintenance and managing the cost of that maintenance, meaning that you're finding, just as the chief pointed out, that he's got a vehicle that, would need $3,000 of work, but worth $15,000, and you just want to throw good money at bad money. So do you have a pretty good inventory?
We do have an inventory. That's something that I've done since I started. We do do a maintenance log. So every time we work on these vehicles or these equipments, we're putting the date, the mileage, everything that's been done to it. There's a standard checklist, whether you change the oil, the air filter. If we do something that's a little more, brake pads or rear end seal or any other additional stuff, we note that. So if we, have some issues, that we can go back and look and see what we've already done to the vehicle. During the winter, we do a very thorough inspection, and we do as much as we can to these because we don't want to break them down during the business season. Which, and I think before, we didn't even have a zero-turn mower here, but the reason why was because they were breaking down all the time. I think we've had our zero-turn 3-4 years. We've had some minimal problems with it, but for the most part, it still runs great because we take good care of it. But yeah, we do keep track of all that stuff. What was the last item?
It was just an inventory of your equipment and the maintenance, and then if you are seeing that it's costing you more to keep maintaining it, you've got a pretty good record of that.
Right now, we're not really seeing that. One vehicle, or piece of equipment we have had a lot of trouble with is a Bobcat that we bought brand new. We spent a lot of money on it. We've had a lot of issues with it. noise, they gave it back to us and said it's fine, but I keep taking it to them. It's out of warranty now, but all the problems that we've had, if it's related to that, then they can file a claim with Bobcat and have those repaired free of cost.
Oh, good. Very
Try
good.
to keep on top of it. It is, that does keep us very
Mhm.
busy. From December till February, that's basically all what we're doing.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we try to keep up on it and keep them as maintained as possible, because that's what we use to do our job, so it's important.
Well, and I realize that Gosney Park is kind of up there and out of the way, but I think no matter where your parks are, taking care of those parks in a way that protect the children,
Right.
make them inviting. If it's so hot, parents aren't going to take their kids there, and the fact that that little park is
I think
so
residential
walkable.
Parks are important.
Yes.
All the kids that live there, and me growing up as a kid,
Mhm.
that's some of my greatest memories, the parks that were in the neighborhoods.
There's a lot of kids in that area.
Yeah, and there
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
And the daycare that my daughter goes to, they go over there all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's great to continue to improve. The grass is growing really well.
So I grabbed a booklet from one of the vendors at CML, which is playground cover, and so I'll get that to you. I meant to bring it tonight, and I forgot to throw it in my backpack, but you probably already know about him, but I thought it would be just another resource for you for that.
Thank you.
And the parks are looking great, by the way. I just, this is a side note that I have a little question about, but I had to stop at Eagle Park because someone wanted to know why we put all those trees in, and that was limiting now the ability to use it for soccer. Did we use that for sports?
We historically used it for the fun team.
Ah.
The fun team's a little bit different. They don't play games.
Uh-huh.
So it's basically just coach-driven drills.
Ah,
Little guys.
So
little
they're
guys.
basically learning not to grab the ball with their hands.
Yeah. Yeah, bunch ball.
My son only wanted to play on the playground.
Yeah.
We moved them. I wanted them to be closer to the real thing, so we
Ah.
moved them on to multipurpose field
Okay.
this year, to get a little more exposure to
Yeah.
the real game. And DJ and myself have been really analyzing the feasibility of the fun team, because we already run a pre-K league
Mm,
as well.
mhm.
So we're almost thinking of absorbing the pre-K, the fun team into the pre-K league
Okay.
and get them going, because that's a new ball too.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit more structured, and they play games.
Mhm.
A lot of the feedback I get from the fun team parents is, oh, we don't get to, it's a social event,
Mhm.
Saturday
Mhm.
soccer. So we're really looking at that. We might send out a survey monkey, just to see what the feedback is on that before we make any moves.
Gotcha.
Eagle Park really wasn't feasible for that program.
I didn't think so either, and the individual who was not pleased that we put all those trees there and why we put those trees there, it seems like it's more a public gathering park and not necessarily a sport park. But again, we are always desperate for open space to
And
play
We
sports.
discussed it before we
Yeah.
we put it in, but it really, there was no, we stored the equipment in our cleaning closet.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
Every time we cleaned the restrooms, we had to pull all their soccer.
Oh my gosh,
Sorry,
okay.
in this closet's like that, why?
Yeah,
So at Joe Stevenson, we have the complex.
Gotcha.
We have a large
Yeah.
room that we store all the sports equipment in. And then we did have to work around the existing trees to get, the fields for them. So the multi-purpose field is much more, appropriate for.
Gotcha.
sports.
okay.
I wanted them to have real goals. Even the fun team, they didn't have real goals.
Yeah.
I wanted them to see the real goals and get the real experience. And just the logistics behind it, Mark's goes tripping all over our stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted them on the real field.
Okay. That's great to have a little background to that, since there was a complaint.
So is iWorks, are we using that for equipment maintenance, vehicle maintenance yet? Okay. All right, so iWorks is not only for building permits, but also for equipment, so that'll give you some digital information. And like the police department, when they talk about equipment maintenance, in 2021, the equipment maintenance was $19,000, and by the time 2022, it was $36,000. So it's the same thing that's happening in the parks and rec, is that it started, $4,000 and it continues to increase. And I remember at the police department, I was getting like $4,000 or $5,000 bills to repair things, and so we're spending a lot of money on equipment. Yes, it's money to buy new equipment, but now you're spending $4,000 or $5,000. It doesn't have a useful life of $4,000 or $5,000 worth. So, just so you're aware that there is a reason why we replace vehicles.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right. I'd like to dovetail off what they said about the surveillance system as well, especially in the parks. You guys care to wager how much money porta potties is sitting over there right now? Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have that. My palms are sweaty.
Yep,
Sitting there.
yep.
I talked to the vendor. They have to.
Mhm.
They told me they're working their way here through Durango and over to Silverton. Silverton might be 60 for, so it'd be great to have some sort of system there.
Mhm.
Not to mention the irrigation issues to keep the fields nice for the kids.
It's a great deterrent too.
Mhm.
People learn to see it and they won't
Yeah.
vandalize.
Well, I know local thefts that have gone on right in front of people's homes because they had the Ring cameras. They were able to apprehend these kids. And so I think the more that people in town know that we've got an eye on them, the less likely, those vandals will occur.
And unfortunately, there's incidents that happen over there. There's one
Sure.
last year, and it'd be nice to have that and not have to rely on people's getting them, so.
The initial design for the parks area is an expandable program. It's designed right now for as it is, but we also gave the company the Joe Stevenson future and where we wanted stuff, so in the future, stuff can be placed as it's being built to protect it as well. So it is in a design phase that it will expand throughout the history and the course that the park is built.
Great.
So my mission is provide affordable, sustainable, safe, fun recreational opportunities for our greater community. Provide reliable, prompt, and accurate and friendly service at Town Hall as well. That's the town clerk. Vision is work with the newly formed park committee to educate, leverage community support, and be a liaison and resource for the town to facilitate moving forward on the master plan and recreational needs of the community. Goals, I put, is creating agendas and packets for the park meetings. Got the first one out, got some pretty good feedback on it, so we're ready to go for Thursday on that. Because again, it needs to be community driven. If you want to get a sales tax passed or something like that, you gotta have the buy-in of the voters. So that's good, and that just provides opportunities, not just for the people in town, but for the whole 812 zip code. Continue to grow the new sport offerings to maximize that gym lease. We did roll pickleball out this year. We'd like to expand on that and create open gym for pickleball. So basically they can kind of play who they want to play. They can drop in and have fun with that and get our money's worth on that lease. I'd like to partner with the school district to rent one of their fields to help with the increases in the youth rec programs. I kind of have my eye on that field at the primary school. It's got soccer goals and everything on it. I would like to move flag football out there in the fall, if possible, and see how that goes to get them off the softball fields. Because right now flag football's on the softball fields, and soccer's growing. We're the only rec program in the area that offers flag football.
Oh,
So we don't get a lot of participants in the older age group, it's because of Yoffle, but we do get quite a few of the youngsters, so it's
Mhm.
nice to expose them to that sport as well. One thing that's ongoing is teaching and training budget awareness with my rec coordinator. All the invoices, he doesn't have a credit card, all the invoices and stuff goes through me, so I can really track that. We're doing a great job watching our budget and still keeping it fun. We still have to use some of it for prizes. We do get quite a bit of it donated, so shout out to Lewis Merck and places like that that really help us with that. And train and communicate with our seasonal employees to foster better relationships between participants and program working on it. And in the front at Town Hall, communicate things that we deal with on a normal basis, like billing, election, quota, all those things. Get them a little more comfortable with answering those questions, because a lot of times at that front counter, you're gonna face angry people. So I wanna help them communicate these changes so they can better speak to it. We had some great successes with the election, actually. But people coming to ask Glenn questions. You tell them the answer, and they still want to see me, which is fine. But hey, it was funny because he'd come in my office and say, I told him the answer. Well, good, I'm glad we're communicating. So, I come from a big background in customer service. I spent 25 years of my career in customer service, so that's a huge piece to me. I worked on the counter a little bit 2 weeks ago, and I missed it. I don't get as much interaction as I used to. And that's my specialty. So in the budget, we got kind of hit on it. I want to lease a sports field for possibly soccer and flag football. The school district, Kristen brought me their master facility plan. It's pretty affordable. I mean, it really is. So I think it's an option we could really have to really help alleviate some of that. I would like a new floor machine for the old middle school gym. Anything we add to the gym is kind of dicey because it's a year-to-year lease. So I worry about a lot of things on that, but that new machine we have isn't doing a great job, and it's got a cord on it. That cord, if you ever run a big floor machine, the cord's very cumbersome. And I know they have battery-operated models. We don't even need a huge one, we just need something that can reliably clean that, and it's gonna pay for itself with labor and things like that. Another thing that'll pay for itself is a self-serve ice machine for Josephine's Park. And that's multi-purpose there. Yeah, it won't get used a lot in the winter, but it is also for 4th of July, softball, and honestly for injuries. Right now we have these packs that you rub together. They're not real great. It'd be great to have an actual ice machine out there so somebody gets hit in the noggin with a softball. Which I've seen a few times I've been there. Yeah.
Isn't there an ice machine? I don't know if it works in the old middle school gym cafeteria section.
I'm not sure what works back there. I've kind of peeked my head in there, and it's probably owned by the school district.
Oh,
So
okay,
we
yeah,
wouldn't
that's
know it
right.
Anyway.
Right.
But yeah, they've got a lot of equipment, graveyard back in that kitchen.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and speaking of the gym, I put this in there just because when I walked into that gym, I was a loss prevention officer for a lot of years. I see liability everywhere in that gym, and those bleachers are inherently could be dangerous. We've had a gentleman fall. It was brought to my attention a couple of years ago. You can get splinters. It's just, they need help. Something needs to be done about that, I feel. I'm not sure what I can do with that within the boundaries of the relationship with the school district. But it would be nice to come up with some sort of solution there. That last one was just kind of a foolishness.
Have you been in communication with them about that and the floor machine? Because
The floor machine we would buy, Katie was in contact with Leon, and we are gonna extend the lease for another year, so that's great news. I love that gym, there's a lot of history there, the kids enjoy it, but gosh, they're outgrowing it. The ceilings are wreck, the bleachers are a wreck.
so no communication about the bleachers, but yes, communication about the floor machine.
I just wanna make sure we're gonna get a lease first, so we
Yeah.
can run our youth programs.
And then the floor machine, since you've been talking to them, I know a couple years ago, it was already a concern about replacing that floor. So they're okay with it and we can move forward with the floor machine in the condition the floor is in?
Well, that's a very expensive
Yeah,
old
very
floor.
expensive, yes.
Yeah, so I think that what I've asked staff to do is make sure that the school district is doing their part. We have some maintenance individuals that work for the school district that, I don't care, it'll be fine. So, I think that we just need to stay on top of that. And Leon has asked if the maintenance, their staff doesn't do it, that he wants to be informed. So we get kind of, like, well, we're telling on your staff, but if that's what they want, that's fine.
And the normal citizen out there doesn't
Hell, they think we own the schools.
Right.
Right.
Right, so we get a lot of feedback like, why don't you guys do something that?
Yeah, like snow removal. That's it's very clear in that agreement that they're to remove snow, and then we get complaints because the snow isn't removed. Well,
Not our job.
It just reflects on the town.
Mhm.
I point to that, they don't know whose responsibility it is, but it would be nice if we could come to some sort of agreement with the school district to get that building, if that's what if they want to keep it, get it at least a little safer and more usable. 'Cause the kids love it.
Do you know if there's a graveyard of where or schools that get closed that has things like bleachers that they're gonna, offload? There's several schools in Denver along the Front Range that they just don't have enough kids, and so they're reducing schools.
It's a two-sided problem too, is that both sides of the bleachers are wildly different.
Mm-hmm.
The pull-out ones, half of them don't even work.
Mhm.
DJ and I are yanking on them, we couldn't get them out.
Yeah.
So those are an issue too.
Mhm.
I'm pretty much okay with those, just leaving them closed because I got truck down hoops on that side anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's the other side I'm concerned with. That's a steep slope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And kids are running around and kids are having fun. They're not paying attention. to stuff
Sure.
like that. So it represents the whole town. That gym does. And it's a community place, and it would sure be lovely if we could come to an agreement.
I just hate to,
Make it nicer.
yeah, I just hate to spend money that are assets for the school,
Sure.
as a renter, So hopefully there is some way to find a middle ground there.
It's gonna be a tough conversation.
Yeah.
For both boards.
Yep.
For you guys and for the school
Mhm.
board to come to some plan with that.
To me, I equate it to, no different than a renter who's renting an apartment and the refrigerator, is not functional. It's like it's up to the landlord to replace the refrigerator, not up for the renter to replace the refrigerator. So it makes me wonder what creative ways that can be approached where we don't buy assets for the school and lose out on that money.
It's kind of a diamond in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
People are using it. We've
Yeah.
got dance classes going in here right now, Wednesday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Got good news for her. We're gonna be able to expand it into July. So we're using it, and the
Yeah.
town's using it, and it's definitely a resource that needs some polish.
Yeah.
I think safety would be where I would hit them. I know it's an old building and they obviously don't want to do any improvements to it. But the elevation of those bleachers cannot be up to code.
Yeah.
They're like that
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
They're built in place too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
have to listen to it.
And the school could really care less whether or not we use their gym. I mean,
Right.
if that contract goes away, they don't care.
Right.
It does not matter to them one way or another if we don't wanna use that gym. That's why they're not gonna do the repairs. They're gonna do this whole master facility plan, and no matter what, that property is not gonna be at the top of the priority list. They have other huge ticket items that are gonna require bonds and all sorts of stuff,
So-
they may sell that property, but we don't know that for a very long time.
So I wonder if it would be worth, this next year is going to the school board or the superintendent and maybe finding out what it would cost to replace those bleachers, and then just make sure that we have like free lease for, I don't know, 10 years. What they do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, trade.
If the roof lasts that long.
Yeah, the
Programs are
building.
the same kids going to their schools too, so we wanna do it for them. And they deserve it. I mean, you go watch the volleyball games, how many whistles get blown, ball hits the ceiling, pieces are falling down, and it's just something that needs to happen, so that's a great idea.
I mean, they're the ones that are gonna be liable if there's an accident. It's not our building, so, a little history on that floor too. They've been telling me they're gonna refinish it since I've been here.
Yep.
It is in pretty rough shape.
Dime-size holes.
But the way we cleaned it before is we had this giant board that we wrapped around towels and Velcro on, and then dumped water out
Oh my
all
God.
over the floor, and then drug it over. So good floor cleaner, and it's probably something we could use at the senior center as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that would be a good investment.
I don't have a problem with the floor cleaner. I do have a problem with spending money on an asset for the school district and, you know, it's costing the town. But mine's open. Let's see what we can be creative to come up with as a solution.
I believe in Christmas, so I threw that last.
Yep.
So the self-service ice machine, would that be in the concession building?
I
And-
would like to see it on the outside, just for the public to use. It's almost like a vending machine. If you've ever
Would-
seen the one at Walmart, it's super cool. It
Yeah.
bags it, drops it down, you put your money in, and
What are we doing with that building? Is it ever used? I mean, I know the bathroom.
It's a concession stand and restrooms.
It is used? I mean,
didn't
there's,
see in my department report, yeah, we've already broke even on this year's purchase.
oh, okay.
Profit.
So do we have a contract with somebody to run it, or? I've
No,
never
my-
seen
my
anything in it.
referees, My youth runs it.
All the sports programs that are run over there, they have concessions.
Oh, okay.
So one room is the concessions, and you got the two windows you can watch both baseball fields and scorekeep.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one in the back is where all our equipment is, so all the softballs and the football, everything's in there. We only take the balls out in the winter, because they deflate and cold, and then the other sit's bathrooms.
It would seem to me that that ice machine needs to be indoors, and then all your refs have keys, or whoever would be available on those Saturdays or whatnot. Just, I know from the golf course, they had it open to the public and had all kinds of issues with it. So if it's open, you got kids with nothing to do on a Saturday night, and there's the ice machine. Anyhow, that's just a thought, but that's something to be dealt with later.
Yeah, and
So,
I just, to keep, when I keep things sustainable, the reusable jersey program would be
Mhm.
the first step in that. I think things like the ice machine, I think it's gonna pay for itself.
Mhm.
I know it will,
yeah.
eventually. We're spending $800 this year on ice vendor for 4th of July.
Oh, geez, yeah. It matters, so, yep.
Add up and it would pay for itself eventually, just like the jerseys. Did the math on the jerseys the other day, and we are this close to paying for it.
Woohoo. Attaboy.
Moving on to the senior center.
Yeah, so Carrie provided her insert on page 18. The solar system up and running to help with operating costs. We are still working with McKinstry Energy Performance Contracting, and you'll see a resolution at your Tuesday meeting regarding your next Tuesday meeting regarding a grant request for DOLA. So we still don't really know. That's why we do have McKinstry, an engineering company that's looking into that. So that would help with operating costs. I think that our concern is that the senior center is an evacuation center, and we still need to do more training and have drills for that system as well. And funding a generator may be plausible if we do have electric outages for that area. And then more signage in town for the senior center. We do have wayfinding, which has been designed for all, directing everybody to important locations in town. And I did reach out to Fast Signs, and they can do the type of wayfinding design that was done, that plan that was done in, I believe, 2019. So anyway, those are, and Carrie's doing a really good job down there.
So, Katie, is Carrie responsible for promoting and generating people to rent the senior center, or she just facilitates
She's
the
a
renting
facilitator
of it?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Just because she said that in her goals, generate income through renting it. So I didn't know if she facilitated.
Well, we spent some money getting that commercial kitchen
Yes.
compliant
Yeah.
with the gas shut off. So we spent some time in there and putting up some shelving and securing a lot of counties documents. or documents, plates and silverware and things like that, that they have to keep sterile for the congruent meal. So now we can use that commercial kitchen, and so she does spend some time making sure that, I mean, she's very concerned about that building, and hopefully we get more renters for the commercial kitchen.
Okay. I think it's great that if we can utilize that building for income, that's fabulous. I just didn't know if she was tasked with going out in the community and generating.
Well, that
You know.
consultant for social media would be great.
There you go. Excellent. And then the senior center already has solar panels that are not functioning?
We don't know if they're functioning or not.
Got it. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was clear about that.
They may be functioning, but they're not reducing our electric bill.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's silly.
I'm not sure if they ever worked right.
I
I think I was on the board when we put them up, and it
They
was,
were repaired once, because I think we questioned it, and then someone came back and redid something, because I found some history on it.
Yeah, there's no-
McKinstry seems to think that they work, but they're trying to figure out how much they're helping the
Mm.
center, or, so trying to work with LPEA. So McKinstry's our, people who's doing our energy audit, so they're trying to figure it out with LPEA.
yeah, they've been an issue since they've been installed. They never have worked right.
So, and the senior center should have a generator in case,
So if you had a power outage,
Yep, yep.
then you would have a generator that kick on, and it would use natural gas or gasoline or diesel to keep the lights on at the senior center.
so they don't have one now?
They don't have
Okay.
one.
And then I believe that Public Works is also going to want a generator. So if we're, what's that?
Multiple generators.
Multiple, okay. So let's get a deal. If we buy 5,
Have to get
Reduce
an
the cost.
electrician too.
You know, it's very possible that, when we're doing engineering as well, that if you added that additional building, then you could size it appropriately. Typically, natural gas is the most cost effective, especially if there's natural gas in the building. It gives you a constant energy flow. You're not having to worry about winter diesel gelling, hauling diesel, any of that other stuff, and then you just set it up for a maintenance schedule, kind of like we do with the treatment facilities right now. So, that's something we definitely have to get into if it's a direction we want to go and have.
gotcha. Okay.
So you're already up and started.
Oh, so, yeah, so me and Corey both went through these, I had him review it, make sure I didn't miss nothing. So we're just gonna kind of leapfrog through. In the sewer fund, we didn't write a 3-page report, like Chief.
Thank you.
You know, as far as for the mission, we just wanna provide, reliable sanitation service through, the collection system and, our treatment facility at a fair and equitable price. So really what we're really trying to review is that treatment costs and then operational expenses for the collection system. Review that to our rates, make sure that our base rates are equitable, we're able to cover our costs, and that's really what we're looking for. That additional dollars for the fees and rates will cover some of the improvements that we're gonna need, you know, over time. We did put down some goals in here. You can see that there's gonna be a recurring theme through here is recruit, retain qualified staff. So, it's been one of the things that, I think Public Works has struggled with over time, is having appropriately certified operators for compliant operation through the state. And that's really what we're trying to focus on, and that comes with, a lot of training, as well. Maintain staff and infrastructure. All staff provide knowledgeable and welcoming customer service. So, whether it's on the phone, front desk staff, Glenn, or any of the guys when they're in the public, we want them to, one, appear confident, knowledgeable, and give people accurate information. I think that's really important, and it helps instill confidence in the community, that you do have people that are trained. And then, the FOG program. So we want to make sure that we've got that up and running. We want to continue that and make sure that we're not getting a lot of grease intrusion and stuff downtown. So,
What is the FOG program?
fats, oils, and grease. So it basically affects our food establishments. So we want to make sure that they have appropriate grease trapping devices installed, and it keeps it so, one, it can cause backups. We'll get grease intrusion and grease bergs in the collection system. They're really hard to jet rod, so to get those things broke up. And then it also affects the treatment facility and basins. So the land in there needs grease. So it's kind of gross, but, like I've always said, you know, in sewer operations, if everybody's toilet flushes and they don't know where it goes, we're doing a good job. So, you know, if they have to ask questions, then we need to look at our operational program. A couple of the goals that we set, these are just high level. We've been working on reducing I&I. As you're aware, we have a hydraulic loading problem at the treatment facility, and it's driven by inflow and infiltration, basically through all the irrigation we have running in town. Bayfield has a lot of irrigation water, and you know, with this agricultural route, so we've been working on that for the last couple of years with the I&I funds, and we'll try and reduce that. If we do that, then we're looking at only operating at about 40 to 45% capacity, so we have a ton of room in the facility that we have sized for the growth that we see coming up. Office and lab expansion, same thing. You're in like a Parks and Rec. With the digital age that we're moving into, we just don't have adequate workstations for the employees that we have and the future employees that we potentially be adding with growth. And then we just had another soft start go out. We've been operating on one pump set at Homestead for the last week now, and I think we'll have it installed for the second pump set beginning of next week. We're going to need to use an electrician. There's a lot of vibration in that lift station, and so I think when one of the wires shorted out, it fried one of the starters. So we're going to have John Tomatas easy to come help us. He's going to pull new wires through. We're probably just going to replace all the wires to that bottom motor when he's over there, just because of the vibration. So we're thinking it might be appropriate to start looking at engineering and some permitting to potentially replace that with the intermediate lift station that's going up. And I know the engineering probably would be in 2025, but I don't think you would see construction until potentially 26 or later. And that's kind of what I got for the sewer system. If you guys have any questions?
Explain the tap rehabilitation in the right-of-way. Help me know what that is.
We instituted a I&I fee that I'm sure some of you have seen on your bill. That's going to go through there. The thought process behind that is we think all of our inflow or infiltration through the system is coming through service taps. So they did a camera inspection in 2014. We just did a full one in 2023, and we've installed flow meters this year through the irrigation season. So what we're hoping to do with those is contract with a lining company. We can do non-invasive, non-excavation, install a top hat, and if we can line that service with a tap up to the sidewalk or outside of the roadway in the right-of-way, then that's going to be a huge cost saving for our citizens.
Oh,
So we
okay.
can get that most expensive portion of that sewer service line rehabbed with those costs, and then if we're still seeing a lot of inflow coming there, we can send a letter, say, hey, you need to get, as a contractor, get them out of your yard. And a lot of times there's a disconnect between that service line going all the way out to the tap. They're like, well, we got to dig across the road. And you're like, well, yeah, the whole thing's your service. But if we can take care of that most costly portion, then I think we're getting a lot more cooperation with people actually repairing those and letting go. So that's the thought process behind it. How it's going to work, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We haven't implemented it yet. Next year, we're hoping to have a good project together. We're looking at a portion of the downtown area, is where it's looking right now. So we're going to start actually implementing some of the process.
In my wildest imagination, I couldn't understand that. So I appreciate you explaining that because I was like, what the heck is that?
They send a robot in.
Yeah.
And place this like felt tube with a hardener and epoxy on it.
Yeah.
They can go almost all the way 12 to 15 feet from inside the main.
Wow.
And so that's what we're hoping to install with some of these, and then that'll save our actual customer a ton of money without having to replace asphalt, sidewalk,
Yeah.
roadway, road closures, right-of-way permits, all of those things. If we can do that from internally, then
That's impressive.
well,
We'll see. We'll see.
It's going to be very impressive.
Yeah. And then can you explain when you, on goals, it says number 4, restrict cash resources. How does that work when you say restrict cash resources?
I think the restricted cash flow, the restricted funds, so for like your sewer tax, I just don't think that's really very well.
Yeah. I
So
couldn't-
PIF, when you pay for your PIF, we
Yeah.
can't just go use that money to operate or pay a operator. It has to be for capital improvements. That's by state statute.
Okay.
Yes, but it wouldn't be for operating.
Okay,
I definitely agree.
okay. And again, it's just clarification, because I read it and I'm like, I don't know what that means, so that's helpful. Thank you.
Guess you're still up. Or your compadre's up.
Yeah.
Okay, so, waterfront operation, our mission is to provide safe drinking water to every Bayfield resident at fair electrical price. The vision is to see adequate water resources for current and future development, ensuring customer buy-in for water restriction-free and burn construction conditions. We want to keep maintaining certified staff, water treatment operations, maintaining infrastructure throughout the distribution system. Make sure staff knowledgeable and service.
Not good.
Half of the water plant works without the, which half of the water plant has the generator? The newest, that's what I thought. Right. We never had a generator in the water plant.
And then what we did find out when we were looking at adding the additional generator in there is that the original building with the two actual filters and the Trident filters have two separate NCP tanks. So there's two different transformers and the power comes in independently.
So you need two generators.
So we need to combine the interior NCP panels with an appropriate switch, get one generator size to operate both of the filters. And so that's why we're still in engineering. We had to initiate electrical engineer and say, okay, well, how do we combine both with master control? So the two transformers will feed to one, then we want one generator to operate both. So we have to engineer a switch in between the two NCP panels, so when power does drop, the generator will kick on, power both NCPs in the building. So that was a little bit confusing, and so that's where the real pickup came. We're like, well, whatever, we'll just order a Generac. There's gas right here, plumb it in and turn it on, right? Well, not necessarily. Yeah,
Not so much.
The buildings were built independently, and then when they added the Trident, they just put a new transformer in and ran all the wiring and stuff. They didn't wire it into the same control panel.
Ah, cool.
Well, I don't know, but that's what we found. And so we're like, oh, well, whoops. And so now if we just serve one master control panel, we need to bring it all up to current electrical code. So we're needing to get electrical engineer, let us know what those improvements need to be. And then that'll dictate the sizing for the generator. So we did get sizing back for the booster station. We might have backup power there that feeds Bell Ranch. Currently, right now, we don't have any redundancy in the booster pump for the middle Texas cover. So that's been sized for the engineering this week. We're looking at the cover structure. We don't want to just sit out in the sun to go over the top. But that's been done. We should be able to accomplish that this year. And then hopefully we get to engineering for the water plant.
It sounds like it makes sense to me. Have
I'm
one
not
control
an
panel.
electrical engineer.
I know.
Doesn't make any sense to me. I can
Ah.
open the gray doors and be
Yeah.
like, yep,
Yep.
there's some wires in there.
I have just enough knowledge to get myself in trouble, just because of my husband's career, and equipment engineering manager, and subflooring, and electric, and plumbing, and again, I just know enough to get myself in trouble. But I'm following you, so,
Currently, we do have capacity, so even at maximum demand with the filter in the back, the new one that they added, we can still meet maximum demand for the town. What we're just looking at is future growth coming up. If that demand does go over 1 MBD, then we would struggle, we would start the other portion of the plant. So, but right now there is redundancy in the system. We should
Yes. Yay. Let's see. Let me just check here. Make sure. Okay. One thing I want to say to all of you that I really appreciate, because all of you are like the face of our town. I love how all of you are prioritizing good customer service, good interfacing, having training that teaches your staff to interface well with the community. Anything we can do to bolster our image and our willingness and our commitment to the community is really a powerful statement. So thank you for prioritizing that. I appreciate that.
Which one's doing streets?
Stay there.
So we just want to, so I stay through the roads and everything, so I think what we're seeing is kind of sure you have and it's still walkable. We want to make sure that we're giving other opportunities to have access for lighting and things like that. Outdoor populace, that I think actually values those types of amenities. So we're always looking at ways to try and recruit team staffing, knowledgeable and welcome customer service. We want to make sure that, all of our guys, especially the public works, whether you're going to weed eater or whatever, that they're polite and they're knowledgeable and they get, have an appropriate amount of I think it's really important also. So, this is here in some of the goals. When we did the last third seal project, we couldn't find a contractor to do any of our road repairs. So, I mean, they're kind of fiddly, they're small, and so you get like your Elam construction, it's Tamarack or Four Corners material, that you don't really have time to come out and do the cater type packages. So we did a bunch of packages in-house last year, using a cold patch. We're gonna do some more of that, and I'd like to start instituting a road repair program. We can do a lot of these smaller repairs. If it's over in Mississippi, that Trustee Nyberg has been mentioning for a lot of times, there's some alligator patching over off of Wolverine and Sauer by the fire department. If we can get our guys to start making some of those smaller repairs with hot asphalt, cost effective, I think we go a long way. Really water treatment. So when we get the alligator tracking, water, cycle is basically letting those funds build up to where we have, $300,000 plus project that is appealing to Elam Construction or Four Corners or somebody that gets those guys out. I mean, they did a really great job on Camera when you go up there. So that's who we want to be using rather than, a smaller mom and pop paver, which I'm not saying they don't do a good job, but if we can get those guys back out, plus they have internal controls. They're doing their own compassion and density testing. So that's the direction we like to keep going. And I think it's doable. We're just seeing those $300,000 projects pre-COVID go to $500,000 post-COVID. So, and I don't know if it's the oil cost, just everything with the inflation after the pandemic is coming up. So, but those funds are typically available on a 2-year cycle.
Well, everybody drives our roads. I know when we lived in Pagosa, Pagosa's roads are just a wreck, and they have been forever and ever and ever. So having these 2-year road improvements is excellent because it shows people where their money's going and the fact that we're actually addressing it with a commitment to get it improved. So.
One thing that's going to be exciting this year is we're going to do surface treatment. It's going to be a chip seal. So we're going to take care of all of the bus routes you're gonna see coming up from the high school up to the intermediate through the intermediate school, and that portion of Mountain View. And, one thing that is gonna be interesting about that is, we've been doing a slurry seal or a micro seal for the last 2 years. You're gonna get to see another surface treatment that's gonna go in, that's gonna improve that roadway for 5 to 7 years is what you're gonna get with your road improvement, and we're gonna get to see actually how it performs over time in our elevation. So when you get a chance to look at that, maybe that might be a more cost-effective way to go on some of these other streets that don't necessarily have curb gutter children. If we can increase those lane miles, is what we're trying to do with a larger portion, preserved or treated, is really the goal behind it. Now, it works so well between curb and gutter, but if we do the process for little streets today, where you have all the not necessarily, where we do have like, over Clover, we have a couple other roads, many of those that don't necessarily have a curb and gutter with pedestrian access. So, we'll see how it performs and move forward.
Any other questions? Capital improvements?
So the capital improvement fund, I know that we've had this discussion at budget time before, is a capital improvement fund is a 1% sales tax that goes into a fund. It is a government fund. It is not an enterprise fund. And then that money is collected, and typically those capital improvements would go back out. So in other words, any other government fund, like the general fund or the street fund, that those monies can be basically transferred to those two funds to cover capital improvements. It doesn't necessarily mean, let's just say we have $1 million in capital improvement needs in the general fund. It doesn't necessarily mean that we transfer the full $1 million from the capital improvement fund to the general fund. It could be maybe half of that or whatever. So that those are all decisions that we've made. The only thing that's really directly come out of the capital improvement fund recently is the broadband project. Before it was coming out of the street fund, and it didn't seem to make any sense to use the street fund dollars when really it's a capital improvement fund for the town and not necessarily just for within streets. So currently, right now, we had a estimated unassigned amount in the budget of $700,000, and then that would be on top of money that we collect in 2025. So when you see some of these transfers from the capital improvement fund, it may be just one bulk number, but that bulk number will equal something somewhere else, and those are things that we would have to tell you where that's going out of those funds. So a lot of times they'll say, well, we don't have money in operating, but we do have money that we can pay. So when we talk about purchasing vehicles where we have money in capital and we don't have money in operating, those are some of the trade-offs that we do. So when we talk about replacing equipment and parks and streets and the police department, that's where we have funds versus leasing, which doesn't necessarily help our capital improvement fund. So those are conversations we're having. If you're not sure, just ask, because there's certain things that the voters said you could only spend it on, and we have to make sure that we're complying with that. And that's our job, to make sure we're doing that. That's all I have in the capital improvement fund, unless there's questions.
Top 3 capital improvements that you're aware of that we're going to be hitting during the budget.
I probably can't answer that
There's way more
today
than 3.
because I just heard a lot about surveillance, and that was a pretty big bill.
Oh, by the way,
So I kind of laughed and filed it.
I wondered why your head hit the table.
Like, and our recording system hasn't even been mentioned tonight yet.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand.
Let's move on to the garbage fund then.
So the garbage fund, I did hear from, let's see, Republic Services, and they wanted to know if they just extend their last agreement or do an RFP. And I thought about it for a couple of weeks, and I finally just said, well, if you're not even interested in taking a Word document and revising it, sending it to us, then maybe I'll just do an RFP. So I plan to do that as soon as possible to get something out so that there's something to decide on in August for that RFP process. So that's where we're at with the garbage fund. All funds, monies that go, basically it's an enterprise fund. It's not a government fund. So in other words, it works like a business. Money goes in and money goes out basically to cover a business operation like picking up garbage. We have had the utility relief out of the garbage fund. You probably can't do that next year. You're probably going to have to take it out of water and sewer fund. And so anybody that's eligible for LEAP gets 25% or gets coupons to take 25% off of their bill for mosquito, garbage, water, and sewer. And we're probably going to deplete that this year. So in other words, it'll have to come out of either water, sewer, or garbage if it's a small amount. But I'm sure Kathy would appreciate it comes out of one place, not 7. So.
Housing development?
So I'm going to let Nicole just provide a little input of kind of where we're at in housing development.
Well, the only thing we really have in there right now is just the Cinnamon Heights project. When we get the 2.7 million, it'll go through that fund to help construct Cinnamon Heights. And then if we apply for any grant funding, as part of Proposition 123 that we'll be eligible for, that has to be used for housing, so this would be a place where we can put that funding until we have projects that we want to put that money towards, whether it's infrastructure assistance or other types of projects you guys might want to be able to do in the future. So that's what this fund will be used for. And so hopefully we'll see some more activity in it in the next year with funding coming in.
Great.
And stormwater.
So stormwater fund, we're getting ready to submit a resolution to the Board of Trustees for approval for a fee to at least get that in the system and try to encourage our HOAs. If you're going to opt out, let's do that in 2024. I know that most of them may have their annual meeting in the winter by the time we've already adopted a fee, but it may get them to say, well, either they're going to take care of their stormwater, and if they ever decide, and if they opt out, they're going to have to buy their way back into the process. That's the way the ordinance is set up for stormwater. So that resolution will be before you the second July meeting, not this first one.
Questions? Committees?
I don't know if there was any committees that were going to take any funding. We don't expect the park committee. It'll be just basically time. The tree board, I believe, they've always had some funds to do events, and we've got Marion and Brandy that were out there at the block party. I think they're going to do more those type of public events to get that information out there. Sometimes committees do take some funding, but I don't have any that I'm really aware of. This a lot of considerable funding at this time.
And then the update with the DOLA regional manager?
Yeah, so I got my directions from the Board of Trustees and scheduled time with Patrick. He did have a conversation with Trustee Hartz and Trustee McLaurin before my scheduled meeting. And so when he came in, we met in the lobby of the hotel where the conference was, and he said, I'm not really too sure you need a strategic plan. He says in discussions with two trustees, he felt that perhaps just getting on the same page and knowing how to work together would be his first start. So, and I wasn't aware of the conversation. I just heard from him secondhand of what that was. So I don't know if there was something more or, but he felt that the strategic plan needs to be something we do. But first of all, it's learning how to work together. So I don't know.
So Katie, is it correct that he said he would commit 2 meetings with our board? Is that correct?
So I scheduled him because every time I've scheduled him and I wait and I lose time. And so the same schedule that you got is the same schedule that he got.
Okay.
The 23rd and 30th of July. And actually in your, in those schedules, it talks about Board of Trustees goals. And then the second one is basically starting that budget process. So in capital improvements are going to be, big dollar amounts that, be a little easier to go through. So he has scheduled those 2 days to be with the board.
Well, I'm just going to make a statement. So our town employees put together time to bring us their strategic plan ideas, just so we know what they're all thinking and what their needs are going to be this year. So I'm open to Patrick coming and talking to the board, but here's the questions I would ask Patrick. What is his ability to facilitate good communication with and for the board? How will he work to align the board within reason to meet the budget planning and funding decisions? And would he mediate conflicts or differences? Will he be able to provide a working group plan? And most importantly, will he be able to identify the time needed to create a strategic plan that will accomplish identifying the goals of the board to meet timely deadlines for the budget planning and decision-making calendar? We owe it to this staff, we owe it to the town to have a good strategic plan. That takes time, and that takes a good facilitator. So an off-the-cuff, hey, just come and talk to us about a strategic plan, I don't think cuts the mustard. And I think that also disrespects our town staff by saying, well, we're just going to kind of, flippantly put this thing together. So I'm okay with trying it out, but I need to know that he's going to address these questions and he's going to meet expectations, because those are my expectations about a strategic plan. I'm not okay with just, doing a little chat with Patrick and calling it good. We have 7 varying people up here with 7 varying visions, and understanding how to meet the town's expectations through the comprehensive plan, through the community assessment report, and making sure that we're addressing those appropriately.
So you can't make decisions here tonight because it wasn't posted like that
Right.
Tonight. So
Exactly.
I'm just trying to figure out right now. His comment to me is that he just felt that there had to be a way to get you to work together. And the last direction I had kind of went out the window, and I tried, and I basically, after our conversation or towards the end, I kind of gave him the points that I was to ask him about, and he said, well, that's great, but you're not probably prepared for a strategic plan because you still need to know how to work together. So the first one on July 23rd is the Board of Trustees 2025 goals, and maybe maybe that's where to start. I mean, I certainly understand that you have more things he would ask, but this is where I started with almost last week. So.
Well, it definitely feels like we're a ship without a rudder. And, part of having a facilitator to create a strategic plan brings us all onto the same page and gives us marching orders for ourselves and also for our staff, so they know what to expect. from us and our leadership. Right now, it's just kind of floating around there. And I know that board members were afraid of the cost, but sometimes if you pay for things correctly up front, you save a lot of money on the back end. So I realize that we're not here to make a decision about this. I'm just making a statement about how I feel about this.
Well, since I was one of the ones that was speaking to Patrick, and it wasn't like a meeting, it was just kind of a casual.
Yeah, he said you were having breakfast.
Yeah, we were having
Yeah.
breakfast, and he was saying, he asked us the date of when we were supposed to be there, and I'm sorry, I just did not, I do know the dates, I have them written down, they're on my calendar, but I didn't have that with me when I was eating breakfast. But we knew about it, and then he said we didn't know anything about it, and that's what I heard. Anyway, I think we were talking about, there's no doubt that we need a strategic plan, but I think what he was saying about working together, that needs to be addressed, and I think he said he was going to be addressing that somewhat on his first meeting with us. And that would be good. I think it's sort of missing the point about what we were saying about the consultant. It's not just about the money. Okay? I think that when it's done more, it might be more difficult in some ways, and you do need a good facilitator. I don't know if he's the best one. I have no idea. But, except he wasn't impressed with the report of that conversation. But it's more, I think with a strategic plan, it needs to be more organic, that it's worked out with the people that are managing in the town, not necessarily an outside consultant. Now, I know you're in love with the consultant, and you've seen her do good work. That's great. I'm all for that. But it's just it's something we need to work out for ourselves. And you might hire a facilitator, you might hire a consultant, you do some others. But I just like the idea of, it's not easy, but to work out the differences that we have so we can get on the same page. I mean, I know at the last board meeting we had, I felt absolutely attacked. I did not, when you talk about, what are we talking, civility? I think there were some problems there. Hadn't quite imagined it before, but I just think it's an open, I just would like to see it more done with us and the community and the residents, town meetings, town hall meetings, information sessions. We've got a comprehensive plan that we're working on. Even the plan you did back in came out in 2014 or 15 it's good. It's got all kinds of good information and things that we can work on. We do have to get on the same page. But you're not gonna get 7 people that are gonna totally go, yes, I agree with everything, we all agree on everything. It takes some discussion and some working it out. That's the way I feel about it.
From the staff side, just general input from us. We're all very professional. As you can see, we all put, our strategic plan that, we would like to do. And we're very capable of doing that. But that doesn't mean we don't need help. Even with this leadership development that we're doing, I've gotten several great ideas from these people to help, benefit the town. And I agree with you. We all want to, have the citizens' input and, make it a common goal with everybody involved, not just this agency, running the show for us. That's not what we're going for. But as Ms. Katzo said, somebody to facilitate it for us to have, because we are stretched out very thin. We're understaffed. We don't have the time to, manage all this. So to have somebody help facilitate that and get the ball rolling, we have our ideas and they have, their knowledge gonna be, beneficial for everybody. And at the cost, and from what it sounds like from Patrick, I don't think we're gonna get a lot from him. I mean, he's gonna attend a few meetings, but it seems like he's, wanting us to work this out ourselves. So to hire a professional agency to help us out, I think is very much needed.
Why, I think the main place where the leadership has to come from, I think you all are doing a great job. And however you learned how to do that, you're doing great. You are spread too thin, absolutely. Where we have to get more cohesive direction is from this board. We know what you want, and it makes perfectly sense. We've just read through this, we've listened to it, sounds great, everybody's got a plan and all that kind of stuff, but we need somebody to work with the board.
So, and that's why a neutral party that's not the staff, that's not the board, that's not somebody that, that would, if you felt attacked, that facilitator would make sure that you
notice
felt safe.
Right.
And that everybody felt safe in having a discussion and coming to the bottom of it. If that's your feeling that you were attacked, then we're getting nowhere.
That's the way I felt.
Well, and I'm one of these people that I've led a lot of private companies and family companies, and now I'm to a point where that I'm unsure of where we're going. Yes, you saw all what we wanted, but we don't know where you want to go. And there's nothing wrong with getting input from the citizens, but first of all, you have to figure out where you're going to go and where you're going to lead us.
That's something that the consultant can do. I mean, all the stuff that we provide them, they're gonna give you guys their advice and the pros and cons of what they think is gonna be beneficial to the town, so it's gonna help your job be easier as well.
Well, maybe it's just my misconception of consultant rather than facilitator. If you called it a facilitator, it'd make me much happier.
It is a facilitator.
Thank you. Because that's what we need, I think.
So Laura, I'm just going to be careful that we don't break that microphone off, just so.
You can't say consultant
Yeah.
without saying coach.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing anybody that was afraid of the cost on the board. But maybe they are.
We had interest in,
So,
I won't touch it.
I think, when you look at, we are paying for DOLA services. Patrick came to us, he said, this is what I can do for you. I see that as our starting point. I don't see that there's I haven't heard anybody say we're not getting a consultant, or that we're afraid of it, or that it's off the table. I haven't heard that at all, but the conversation keeps coming back to that point. So, as far as getting Patrick involved, if he can't do any of those things that it says that he can do on the website, all he needs to do is say, no, we don't do that. We offer it on the website and we send you to a consultant to do that, and that's our service. But, I think we should start with what is free. What is free to us? What are we not paying for first, and then move into a consultant? So I don't know where we're getting this, or a facilitator or whatever. As far as the last meeting, I watched the last meeting, and we have a problem with civility. We really do. I mean, I hope we don't look like that every meeting to the public. People cutting people off, condescending, not allowing everybody to speak. It was mind-blowing. So I really feel like we need to get that straightened out first before we move into whether it's, I don't know if Patrick can do that. He did mention when he came to visit us that he had a very dysfunctional board that he was able to get back on track that are doing great now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he did that or if somebody else did that, but I think that is our step number one before anything else.
So he did say that he would be bringing another expert, or DOLA expert, I should say, with him. And typically what they would do is facilitate and keep you on track. And very honestly, Alexis, I agree with you. I don't even care where we start anymore. I just want to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, if he's good at it, or if he has a good facilitator, fine. But if it's not really his strength,
You know what? I'm the first one to say, Patrick, you screwed up. Please don't come back on the 30th. We have other things that we're going to work on. I mean, I'm the first one that's going to be very honest with him.
yeah.
I mean, we're spending all of our time doing this, and we are committed to doing it. But if it's wasting our time, that's the first thing I'm going to say is like,
Absolutely.
that's
Right.
I agree.
I agree
I
too.
totally agree
And
with that.
I thought when he was here before that he said he could help us facilitate that whole process. And I thought that's where we were going, was let's go see what Patrick has to say and let's bring him in and see what he can do for us and move forward from there. I thought that's where the whole conversation was going. I didn't see the last meeting. I wasn't there. I'll go back and look at it now, though.
Yep.
And see what's going on. But it doesn't sound good. But I think I would like to hear what Patrick has to say, and if he's bringing somebody with him, even better. Then let's talk.
Well, I think it's important to have a clear expectation of what we want from Patrick. You just don't sit down and just kick the can around and here's my idea, here's my idea, here's my idea. You need someone to help you guide through the process. But if you don't even know what your expectations are when you meet with someone or set guidelines that they know that they're going to operate with, then how can you possibly begin? So, Laura, I'm fine with an organic experience, but I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. So having a clear agenda of how this strategic plan is going to work.
So I'm going to say that I'm backing off from a strategic plan. I prefer to start where let's get you to work together. Let's make sure that Laura doesn't feel attacked. Let's make sure that everybody has their voice, even though they may not be a vocal person. So I'm just willing just to start anywhere so that by the end of July, at least this group says we can start telling you what FTEs or employees or what this operation, the electric bill of the town hall is going to cost without going, not being able to get through these certain steps.
Well, I think a lot of the information you've provided tonight to us is plenty to go on.
Well,
for now.
actually, it's you should be the umbrella over all of this. All of this should fit under your vision and goals. And yes, we have a comp plan with vision and goals with land use. We're working on a capital improvement plan. I think we're all aligned, understanding what that means for us. But the thing is that vision and goals has got to come from you, and where stars shine bright that's our kind of motto, but that still doesn't tell us what we should be working on and spending our time on.
Well, I'm just listening to everybody tonight and the various reports. I think we're in. You need direction. You've already told us a lot of the things that you need. I mean, personally, I can see exactly what we're talking about and exactly the things we need from the information. It's not like you're telling me what to do, but you are providing the information that
And
I
that's
would
what we're
feel like.
supposed to do.
Right, that's
And-
what you said, and you have provided that information that I think is, with the other knowledge that I have and stuff, I don't know what you want to call it. If you want to call it a strategic plan, and it does have its own definition, but I think that if we could communicate better with one another, then it would find better ways to get the things you need. How many employees do you need? Where do you need more employees? Where do we need less? And we go into the budget
Okay,
process.
so that's hard stuff. What we're talking about is vision and mission. So I think every one of us, I know myself, you know, I have 4 kids and sometimes it can be a lot of drama. So the thing is just having somebody facilitate conversations when my children were teenagers and me, and understanding their language and my language and how we had to work together for whatever, you know, growth and life that they wanted to have in the future. I think it was good to have, they may have been called a consultant or a counselor, but the thing is that they helped us understand that language between teenagers and myself and their dad. So, you know, those are all things that are really important. And all of us, I think all of us go to training and learn how to talk to each other. I mean, Gen Z and the millennials, and, you know, what's really interesting is I went to a couple of those, you know, birth order classes, millennial classes, Gen Z. I think there's a couple other generations that'll be working before I retire. So the thing is understanding how they communicate. And what I'm seeing for you is that you may all be in the same generation, but you're just not communicating together. And I think that if we just start with one time with Patrick, if it doesn't work out, you tell him and we'll move on to a different direction.
Here, here.
I'm just begging for some
Here, here.
direction.
Yeah, I came from the conference.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. And if it costs money, I don't really care, but yeah, there's gotta be more civility and more communication between us. I totally agree.
All right, so we're not making a decision here tonight. I just wanted to make sure that we kind of got that out because I'm still trying to put the agenda together for next Tuesday. So,
I guess that's up to me now. I need my glasses back.
I just want to say one thing, this is just minorly related. I am supposed to do at the Pine River Library Park ice cream thing, and I'm not going to be able to do it. They call me into work. They're changing the schedules, and
as long as there's 3 of you there, that's appreciated.
I'll be there.
can you do it?
I'll
Yeah,
be there.
that'll be good. I mean, I love to talk to people about stuff, but I got to go work.
Oh, so at CML, when you talk about having conversations with the public, Alamosa is basically coming to their farmers market. And they said that's really positive because you got everybody out for those couple hours. So, you know, it's certainly up to you. It's not our program, but if you ever thought about, we have a tent that you can take and set it up with the town of Bayfield if you're ever interested in doing that piece on top of the other.
Yeah, different groups. I think the Rotary's there, or maybe it's Chamber of Commerce. I mean, there are other people there. It is a good time to talk to people. I would like that.